says that I was in a big hurry to come into this world because I was born 2 months before my mom's due date. In my newborn pictures, it looks like Mom's holding a scrawny little rat. And that's all I have of Mom because she left soon after. Growing up, it was always Dad taking me to doctors, having the cook make me fancy food, and weighing me every single day. But no matter what I ate or how much, I was always too skinny. I didn't know what the problem was. I felt totally fine. Once when I was 4, I'd just eaten a huge McDonald's meal when Dad and I were passing by a bakery, and I stopped. "I want a cupcake, Daddy."
You don't need more food. Come on.
As Dad tried to pull me away, a woman suddenly stepped in. What kind of terrible father starves his child? Just look at her. She's a stick. I'm calling child services. No matter how many times Dad said I'd just eaten, she wouldn't listen.
Good God. I'll buy her the cupcake.
Dad was so mad at her all the way home, but I sent the woman a silent prayer as I licked the frosting. When I joined school at 6, I stopped wearing shorts or skirts because everyone called me chicken legs, and it really hurt my feelings when my first crush said I looked like his pet lizard. In kindergarten, some older kids walked up to me one day, and without any warning, one of them picked me up. "Oh my God, she's so light. I can hold her up with one hand. Hey you, catch." And before I knew it, I was being passed around like a ball. "Put me down!" Thankfully, one of the teachers walked in just then and gave them all detention. But sadly, jerks don't change overnight. They'd still say mean stuff to me all the time. I got used to ignoring all that and just focused on learning. I really loved to learn new things. And every evening at home, I'd pretend to be the teacher and I'd force Dad and our cook to be my students. I think they really enjoyed my lessons. But in the 3rd grade, my whole life suddenly turned upside down. On Christmas Eve, Dad told me that he'd gotten me the world's best present. My own science lab?
No. Better. I got you a new mom.
Just then, a beautiful woman came inside and threw her arms around me. I practically passed out from shock. Who said I wanted a mom? My stepmom was a royal pain. She was the most attention-seeking person I'd ever met. For starters, she invited herself to our evening lessons. When I'd turn around, she'd throw paper balls at me. I'd catch her passing notes to Dad, and the two of them would be giggling like idiots. Or he'd be giving her a foot massage right in the middle of my class. One time, Dad and I had a Disneyland trip planned for months, and just as we were leaving, she announced she had terrible period cramps.
"It hurts so bad. It's like I'm in labor. I need you, babe."
Of course, Dad dropped all our plans in a heartbeat. When I took soup to her 2 hours later, I found the witch playing video games. I licked the spoon well before putting it back in. On my 9th birthday, she gifted me a giant portrait of herself. But on my 10th birthday, she went too far. Just a day before, she surprised Dad with a vacation to the Bahamas. When Dad pointed out they'd miss my birthday, she put on an Oscar-worthy performance.
"I can't believe I forgot. I'll never forgive myself. But I'll throw the best party in the world for our daughter once we're back, babe."
Dad just smiled goofily at her. He was so blindly in love. I stormed off to my room and slammed the door shut. Minutes later, he came and knocked a few times, but I was so mad at him, I refused to go out and say goodbye. A few days later, I really wished I had. My stepmom barged into my room one morning and she was bawling. "What's wrong? Where's Dad?" My dad had been in an accident. I was completely devastated. But all my stepmom could do was think about how she was the most unfortunate woman on the planet.
"Being widowed at the prime of my beauty and getting stuck with a kid is the worst thing ever, and it's not even mine."
I ran off to the park across the street and sat on a bench trying to stop my tears. Just then, someone came and sat next to me. I recognized him as our new neighbor's son.
"I'm Robert. I heard about your dad. Can I sit with you here for a while?"
I looked up at his sweet face and nodded. He quietly sat there holding my hand, and I felt better. And just like that, I'd made a friend. Thank God for that, because my stepmom was unbearable. Dad had made her my legal guardian, so I was stuck with her till I was 18. and she couldn't stop reminding me what a burden I was while stuffing her face with decadent food all day.
That school of yours is so expensive. What are you, the Grand Duchess of America? Just go to public school.
That's not your choice. Dad said I'd go here, so I will. I joined after-school clubs to keep myself busier, and in the evenings I'd go to Robert's house whenever I could. I couldn't stand to be home when my stepmom had a different guy over every week. Sometimes she forced me to go on dinners with the men she was trying to trap. Once I was at a sheik's house with her for a grand dinner party, and as I was busy stuffing my face with caviar, I nearly broke my tooth on something. I stared at it in shock. It looked like a diamond? I noticed more in my plate of food. I looked around and no one else seemed to be eating diamonds. I fished them out, but just then I caught my stepmom looking at me. I had nowhere to hide, so I did the obvious thing. I popped them into my mouth. I didn't mean to swallow them, but it just happened. When I got home, I made myself vomit and gave birth to 6 diamond babies. Wow! I hid them in a hurry when my stepmom showed up behind me.
Did you just puke?
Is that how you're always so thin?
Not that I want to look like you or anything.
Oh, no. I just cut an almond into 3 pieces, and that's what I eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner most days. That's how I stay thin. She was actually dumb enough to believe me and went on the almond diet. Robert and I laughed our heads off as I told him the story over cheeseburgers. I trusted Robert completely, so I even showed him the diamonds I'd gotten from the sheik's dinner.
Wow, that's crazy. You gotta sell them. They must be worth a fortune.
We went to a jewelry shop and I got cash for all 6 diamonds. I bought myself a new laptop, a phone, and more importantly, clothes that actually fit me nicely. And I safely tucked away the rest of the money. I knew I might need it one day if I wanted to leave my life with stepmom for good. When I went to school the next day and hesitantly took off my jacket, I could see my classmates' jaws drop open. A few of them even told me I looked really good. The ones who'd spent years calling me toothpick and skeleton looked pretty shocked and not very happy. I even got asked out by 2 boys on the same day, but I politely turned them both down. You see, I'd started having some feelings for Robert a few months ago. I'd been wanting to ask him out, but the moment just never seemed right. I decided that on Valentine's Day, I was just gonna do it. I was gonna rip off the Band-Aid and ask him. I walked up to him in the corridor, my heart racing. He turned around to me and gave me his classic adorable smile. And then those dreadful words came out of my mouth. "Will you be my Valentine, Robert?" I instantly wished I could take them back because he looked like he'd been hit by a truck. He turned really red and wouldn't even look me in the eye.
I'm really sorry, Elena. I just can't.
And with that, he fled the scene. What? I was still reeling with shock when I heard the mean girls from my class cackling behind me. Just putting on some nice clothes doesn't make you less ugly. Guys like real women, and real women have curves. Suddenly, I felt really mad. Well, I'm a real person with real feelings. Have you ever thought about that? No, I usually don't think too much about you. And don't be so oversensitive. Sure, you're not pretty, but at least you can eat anything you want without worrying about it. Count yourself lucky. I'd count myself lucky if everyone could just let me be. We should let everyone be happy with themselves, no matter what their shape or size. Nobody's weight defines them. Suddenly, all the kids around me started to clap. Hear, hear. Nobody's weight defines them. Let everyone be happy. I was so shocked that my classmates were actually supporting me. In fact, I had so many kids from all grades coming up to me and saying how they'd always been shamed for their weight, and they thought I was really brave for standing up to the bullies.